welcome to a new video, and today we are in Kirkwall with the AIDAaura on the Orkney Islands, and here on the sea map you can see our route today. We arrived from Edinburgh and now we're staying the whole day in Kirkwall, and then we're continuing on to Invergordon. We're starting early in the morning with the breakfast, and soon after it was time to leave the ship, and then we took the free shuttle that the city of Kirkwall is offering from the cruise terminal to the city center. Kirkwall can be a tender port and a regular port. In our case, we were able to dock at the port together with another cruise ship, the Otto Sverdrup of Hurtigruten. But if there are more ships or bigger ships, they have to lie in the roads and use their tender boats. We visited the city of Kirkwall first, of course. First destination was the church, not for religious reasons, but because it is a main site of Kirkwall and it's also having a very nice architecture with these very beautiful windows, so it's absolutely worth visiting. Right next to it are some castles that we also visited, but just from the outside because you need to pay an entrance fee. So we decided to just take a look at them from the outside. And then we continued in the small shopping street of Kirkwall. There are many nice and cute souvenir stores, of course mostly with puffin products, because those animals are the reasons most people come to the Orkney Islands. There are also the famous historic monuments like the Ring of Brodgar and the Standing Stones of Stennis, but for me the puffins are the most important to see, and that's why we went back to the ship quite early, had lunch on board, and then it was time for our first booked excursion, and now it was time to visit the nature reserves of the Orkney Islands with a main focus on bird watching, of course especially for puffins. The ride with the bus was very nice, as most of the guests came earlier than advised, but we followed the instructions of AIDA and arrived just in time, and the first bus was almost full. Just the first row was still empty because that's usually blocked for people with mobility difficulties, but as it was a hiking excursion there was no need for this reservation, and we were the last ones for the bus number 1, so we got these two nice seats in the front row, and that's why I could take these nice shots from the front row. Once we arrived at our hiking spot, we were first greeted by a lot of bunnies that were just here living in the wild, and then we arrived at the Marwick Nature Reserve, and this is the point for bird watching. And as you can see on those cliffs are millions of birds, and of course we were looking for the puffins. They are hard to see, hard to spot, usually moving very fast, so there's of course no guarantee that you will see a puffin, like with all animal watching excursions, same like whale watching or dolphin watching. But we were very lucky because there was this puffin here right in the middle of the shot, and it was not moving, it was just standing there very calmly. Here you can see it a bit closer, it's zoomed in, even though I used full zoom on the camera, but now you can see it a bit closer. And then we were very lucky that it was not moving, because usually they are living in small caves and you only see them when they are leaving the cave, flying away, so it's hard to take pictures. But this one here was just standing there very still, enjoying his life on the cliff, and we could take some nice shots of it. And for me, the excursion that was quite expensive was worth the money. 100% just because I saw this puffin, because they are my favorite animals and they are really hard to see in the wilderness. If you remember my videos from Svalbard, of course I saw a lot of puffins there, but still I'm always very happy to see them because they are just the cutest animals, bringing me a lot of joy to watch them, and so I was very happy that we booked this excursion. The second part of the excursion was not for me, because our second destinations were the Standing Stones of Stennis. This is nothing that I'm really interested in. I know it's historically very important, and if you actually take your time and read about the history, it's very interesting, but that's not the thing that I like to see, because I like to take videos and pictures, and standing stones are not very spectacular in a picture or in the video, so that's nothing for me. Still, it was quite nice to see them. Also the landscape on the way there was very impressive, so I still enjoyed it, but for me the main point of this excursion, of course, was seeing the puffin. Before arriving at the standing stones of Stennis, we passed the ring of Brodgar, some more stones, and these two places are actually the main point of many excursions here on the Orkney Islands. There's an excursion just going to the standing stones of Stennis and an excursion just going to the ring of Brodgar. In my opinion, it's not worth the money, but that's, as I said, because I'm not very interested in those old stones. So if you're into that, of course it is worth the money, but just make sure to find the right excursion for your interest. Here we are at the standing stones of Stennis. I just took a short look at them, and yeah, then I mostly focused on the animals and the nature around, because as I said, that's not my main interest. So that's why there's also not too much to see about this in this video. And after our short visit there, we continued with the bus back to the ship. So my recommendation, if you're coming to the Orkney Islands, is for sure booking an excursion where you will be able to see a puffin instead of going to the standing stones or the ring of Brodgar. What was quite nice, right next to the standing stones are some seals that you will be usually able to see here in this location. So this was also quite interesting to see. And as I said, then it was time to head back to the ship. And even though the Orkneys are quite a remote and small place, we saw a big traffic jam, hundreds of cars queuing up because there was this construction works that we saw in the beginning of the video, and now it was the rush hour, like most people that live on the Orkneys work in Kirkwall, so now they were all heading back to the villages where they live, and so there was a big traffic jam, but luckily in the other direction, so that we could return to the ship on time. And here we can see our beautiful AIDAaura already as we are heading back to the port. And as you can see, the Otto Sverdrup already left. Otto Sverdrup, as I said, an expedition cruise ship of Hurtigruten. It came from Hamburg, so it was also mainly with German guests, but we stayed longer as this is a selection cruise of AIDA cruises, and that means smaller ships, longer time in the ports and a bit more quality. And yeah, that's why we stayed a bit longer. But eventually it was also time for us to leave the port of Kirkwall, to leave the Orkney Islands. And whilst leaving, you have an amazing view of the city of Kirkwall, and also the sailaway itself is very spectacular, as you have to sail past some islands. And there's a lot to see, especially if the weather is as nice as today. It was very spectacular, and we stayed quite a while outside to enjoy the sailaway here on the Orkney Islands. Whilst leaving the port, there are two things that you will see shortly after departure. First, you will see the Balfour Castle. Here you can see it already in the background, we will see it a bit closer soon. And secondly, you will see the Heljarholm Lighthouse. These are the two main sites during the sailaway, so make sure to be on the outside decks on the sun deck to enjoy this, to see this. Here you can see the Balfour Castle a bit closer. And then there was the one time that we actually spotted an animal from the ship. I think it is a seal that we can see here swimming. And of course, if you remember my videos from Svalbard, we spotted many animals, but also here, even though it's quite far more south and it's also not as remote, still you have a chance to spot a few animals like seals, whales or dolphins, so it's always worth being outside on a cruise like this. Here we have the Heljarholm Lighthouse on a small island, also very nice to see, very beautiful building. And then we kept enjoying this beautiful weather shortly before sunset in the evening. And as you can see, we are now heading to the open seas, and our next destination is Invergordon, again in Scotland, but this time of course in mainland Scotland. This will be the topic of the next video. Here we have a final look at the Heljarholm Lighthouse. And then it was time for dinner, and after that we enjoyed a show in the theater of AIDAaura. Once again, the reminder, the food is from the buffet, so it's not looking very nice on the plate, but the quality was very good. And the quality of the shows in the evening was amazing as well. They had 4 singers on stage, and all of them were very spectacularly amazing. was always a pleasure to watch them. Unfortunately, due to copyright laws, I'm not able to show you their actual singing, but believe me, they were amazing. And that's it for this video. I hope it was interesting for you. Here you can see the name of the song and when the next video will be uploaded. As always, I'd like to say thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, please consider to comment, like, subscribe or share the video link, and I hope to see you in my next video.